Hey there, folks. Santee at the Arizona Ghostriders here. We got a little mail. Santee, can you please do one on the Dalton brothers in Coffeyville, Kansas? You love coffee. Cooper Cleaver. The Dalton brothers, huh? We can do that. You can tell by this list that lawlessness in the American frontier could be kind of a group effort. Outlaws in some of these bands were brothers. Today we're going to talk about an unfortunate incident involving some sibling rapscallions. The Dalton family boys were 9 in total.
They were 4 men living all together.
No, 9.
Did you ever go to school, stupid? Yes, sir. And I come out the same way.
Now, there were 3 sisters too, but they were made of sugar and spice and everything nice. So let's deal with the puppy dog tales. Robert, Grattan, Frank, Cole, Simon, William, Littleton, Ben, and Emmett Dalton. Not all these bros were resistant to law and order, but we're here to talk about the ones who were. Brother Frank was killed capturing some bootleggers, leaving Bob and Grat to take over his job as deputy U.S. Marshals. Eventually they hired Brother Emmett to help them with guarding prisoners. However, the brothers were more interested in mischief than upholding the law. The events leading up to the bank robbery read like a screenplay to a Western movie. A train robbery, a daring escape from jail, and pursuit across a few territories. With the help of some other desperados, they formed the Dalton gang and cut a path through Oklahoma, robbing 4 additional trains. Wanting to make one big score, Bob, Emmett, and Grat teamed up with Dick Broadwell, alias Texas Jack Moore, and Bill Power, alias Joseph Evans, to rob 2 banks in Coffeyville, Kansas.
This is my office, Coffeetown.
No, that's not how it got its name. On the morning of October 5th, 1892, the 5 outlaws, 2 wearing disguises,
Who are you? Charlie? Don't you recognize Grat Dalton?
entered town and split up into 2 teams, each team heading to a bank. Emmett and Bob would rob the First National Bank, and Grat, Bill, and Dick would rob the C.M. Condon Bank. 2 things worked against them this day. First, due to some road work, they had to tie up their horses to a hitch rail farther away from the banks than they were comfortable with. The second was that they were recognized by a town citizen. So, while the bandits were robbing away, the good folks of Coffeyville armed themselves and pointed all guns at the banks. When the Daltons exited the First National Bank, they met a fusillade of bullets which forced them back inside. So they ran out the back into the alley where the townspeople shot them down. The other 3 in the Condon were wrestling with the whole time lock on the vault scenario, which was a brave banker's lie. It's gonna be another 10 minutes on that, okay? What the? Realizing it was time to go, the 3 escaped down the alley towards their horses, only to meet the same fate as their brethren. The mortally wounded Broadwell was the only one to make it out of Coffeyville that day on his horse, which carried Dick's bullet-riddled body about a half-mile out of town. When the smoke cleared, the rest of the gang was laying in the street, as well as 4 Coffeyvillites, Coffeyvillians, townsmen. As was a practice in the Old West, the Daltons' bodies were put on display and photographed, and the public took souvenirs off them.
I'm gonna fill my cup until my number's up. I'm gonna live till I die.
Interestingly, of the 8 revolvers recovered from the outlaws, it appears that they were consecutive serial number engraved Colts with pearl grips. So the Dalton gang went to town before they actually went to town. Emmett was shot 23 times, but amazingly was the only member to survive. Now you would think that would be the end of the Dalton family baddies, but no. Brother Bill started the Dalton Doolin gang and put his own mark on Old West history. We'll save that for another episode. Emmett Dalton served 14 years in prison, and after his release he played himself in a movie about the robbery. This time I'm sure it was easier to survive the 23 bullet wounds.
Aye, we said blanks.
Today, Coffeyville has a museum you can visit with artifacts from that fateful day. Yes, they have coffee shops in town in case you get the hankering for a cup of joe. Well, folks, that's it for another episode. Thanks for watching. I'd like to give a shout out to the Legends of America website, whose research has helped me so much over the last few years. Thanks for keeping the spirit of the Old West alive. Oh, there's a link down in the description field, by the way. As always, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on down the trail. folks, that's it for another episode. Thanks for watching. I'd like to